what made you take that tough decision? Because it's a very tough decision when you switch from a clinical to non-clinical. Okay, because we for the 4 years you are trained to be the clinical or the clinician rather, right? So you work towards it, you do all the patients and everything, but to take that one step to okay, let's leave the clinical part and step towards the non-clinical journey. How was it for you? Was it difficult? And like, what will you give advice for the young adults or young, graduates who are actually in this process?
So I really believe that dentistry has a lot of scope, whether it's clinical or non-clinical, but it's all about knowing yourself. So for me also, it wasn't like I woke up and I knew that clinical is not for me or non-clinical is for me, but I ensured that I gave my best in both. So even if it was internship and I was balancing an entire company, so I already had registered this company in 2022 while I was an intern. So I had about 50 to 60 juniors working for me. However, when I was in clinic, I was ensuring that I'm doing my clinical work well. Like I was very enthusiastic about ensuring that I am taking care of my patients or I'm learning as much as I can as an intern. So it's just that after a year, when I had to choose, it was definitely about the kind of impact that I can create. So if I'm in a clinic, I can do X amount of things. But now that I have funding and I can build a team and I can build a company, what kind of impact can I create if I do non-clinical? So it was initially it was yes about knowing myself, but later it went down to choosing what would really make me happy at the end of the day. So, what will I really enjoy doing a few patients in a day versus will I enjoy, um, working with a huge team and creating something of my own which can be helpful for generations. But at the same time, I feel like that is not an option for most because they get out, they try the clinical segment, they realize that maybe this is not for me, but it's too late, right? Like for me, it was a choice that I could make right after BDS. I'm really lucky for that. But that's not the case that most people have a choice for, especially because they have spent a lot of years in clinical and now they're confused about the thousand non-clinical roles that are there.
Yeah, so true.
And so then it becomes a lot about timing, right? Because you can't constantly say that I tried this role and I didn't like it. Then I tried another role, I didn't like it. I tried the third role, I didn't like it. So that's when a lot of confusion happens. So I would say if somebody has to switch, it's not a direct switch. You should do internships. You should really test whether this is something you really enjoy doing. Or is it just for the money? If it is just for the money, then neither of these jobs are going to be very satisfying because your purpose is just limited. So I think it's about knowing yourself, knowing your purpose, and trying it out. Because you may think it's a good field because the grass is always greener on the other side, but it may not be. Like today, also, if you tell me that I want to go to a clinic and I really want to just do an extraction just for my adrenaline, I would do it because I really enjoyed it. It's just that I had to make a choice at a crucial juncture.
Great, great, great. That's true. That's true. And there is some part of us still, want to do the other things. Like you said, it's the grass is greener on the other side. When we are on the clinical side, we feel the non-clinical is exciting. जब हम non-clinical करते हैं तो लगता है कि okay, the clinical is exciting. We have to go back to the patient.
Exactly.
It's always a confusion.
It's the FOMO.
Yeah,
it's just the fear of missing out. And I feel like it's like looking at other people. So that's why I say, during COVID, I had a very low phase where I was constantly on Instagram for like 10 hours, 12 hours of my day. That was my screen time. And I felt like, the more I'm watching other people, the more it's affecting me. So one day I just took a very solid decision that I'm going to delete this shit and I'm never going to be here on Instagram because it's a bad place to be in. And my mind is constantly thinking about what other people are doing rather than what I am doing. But obviously it was a very long phase of like self-improvement and realizing that it's all about our journey and not about everybody's journey. But I feel like that cut off where there is no fear of missing out. You don't know what the other person is doing. You're constantly, okay, you may know what a successful person is doing, say on YouTube or through podcasts or through whatever, but you're not knowing your direct people who you actually connect with, it really helped me figure out what I want to do without third party opinions. And I feel like that may be something that people need when they are shifting from clinical to non clinical, because both the sides are glamorized in their own ways. You know, whether we'll speak about work life balance or we'll speak about how satisfying it is to treat a patient, but that's giving a bias, right? Like, as soon as we know that somebody else has this opinion, I have a bias in my head. But as soon as I know it for myself, when I have tried it, so instead of scrolling on Instagram for 2 to 3 hours, I would say if somebody has to switch, they should try different things. Try marketing, uh, try writing blogs. Like, these are very simple things that you can do on a freelance basis rather than scrolling on Instagram or, really having that FOMO. So I feel like everything is about cutting off from the people who are giving you that FOMO, and at the same time working on yourself so that you know more about what you really want rather than what others want you to do.